That is ridiculous.
This is the Ford Mustang Mach-E 1400, a one-off electric 1400 horsepower tech demonstrator, a skunk works project between Ford and Vaughan Gittin Jr.'s RTR vehicles. And before we explain exactly what it is and take it for a proper smoke around the track, once the weather improves a bit, let's explain why it exists. Ford is going big on electric cars. It's committed to investing more than $11.5 billion in the things over the next few years, so the stakes are high. To leverage its heritage, it slapped the Mustang badge on an electric SUV, the Mustang Mach-E. You'll be able to buy one soon, and Ford wants to sell lots of them, which is why they need something like this to blow the doubters' tiny little minds. In Ford's words, it's designed to bridge the gap between what an electric vehicle can do and what customers tend to believe it can do. Translated into non-corporate speak, that means this. All right, let's talk about the tech spec, because there is quite a lot of tech to talk about. Firstly, this car has seven electric motors, 3 on the front axle, 4 on the rear axle, 200 horsepower per motor. That's for your total of 1400 horsepower. The battery, it sits in the exact same space that you'll find one in the normal road-going Mach-E and pretty much every other electric car for that matter, under the floor here in that skateboard configuration. But it's not a normal lithium-ion battery. This one is a nickel, manganese, cobalt pouch cells. I think I got that right. And the difference is it's designed to discharge its energy quickly and, as a benefit, charge up quickly as well. The downside is that the energy density isn't as good as that road-going lithium-ion battery. So whereas a normal Mach-E uses that space for a 90 kilowatt-hour battery and its 360 odd mile range, this only has 57 kilowatt hours, but still 1400 horsepower. The really clever thing about this car is how configurable the setup is. You've essentially got 2 separate powertrains, one at the front end and one at the rear end, and what that means is you can have 3 distinct setups. The first one is a track mode. So for that, all the suspension is stiffened up, the anti-roll bars are stiffened up. They swap these wheels out for Michelin slicks, and that mode, you've got 50/50, the full 1400 horsepower. That's designed to bang in the lap times. And then, if you're feeling a bit friskier, there's Gymkhana mode, effectively a 4-wheel drive drift mode. Again, you've got all the power at your disposal, 1400 horsepower, slight rear bias with the power, of course, because you've got the extra motor at the rear. Swap out the slicks for these treaded Nitto tyres, soften it up a bit, and away you go. This thing will just slide all day. And then, if you're really feeling brave, there's a third mode, drift mode, rear wheel drive only. But because you're shutting off the front axle, you're only getting about 800 horsepower to the rear wheels. But as an added bonus, they can change the geometry at the front end. And instead of 30 degrees of steering lock, you get 60 degrees of steering lock for extra sideways fun. Let's have a look inside. The first thing you'll notice is there's no windows. You don't want windows in a drift car, otherwise the cabin will fill up with smoke and you won't be able to see where you're going, which is quite handy when you've got 1400 horsepower under your right foot. Lots of interesting things to look at in here. The first, I'll point out, is that it's a 4-seater. I wasn't expecting that, but of course, when you're building a tech demonstrator that's designed to change people's minds about electric cars, well, you want to bring as many people along for the ride as possible. You'll also notice that big piece of shiny metal sticking out of the dashboard. That is the hydraulic handbrake, which will lock up the rear tyres, but also shuts off the power to the rear motors so you can instigate that big smoky chem block style drift. Down here, electric cars don't really have transmission tunnels, but here there's quite a lot of stuff to pack in. So in there's lots of orange cabling, which is basically the cables to the 7 inverters that run to each of the electric motors. And if we come back through the rear window, there are your passenger seats, quite a snug fit. You need snake hips to get in these. And under that white box are the 4 electric motors that power the rear axle. Whew, quite a lot to take in, isn't there? And then there's the way this thing looks. Pretty mad, isn't it? I'm assured that under there is an actual body in white from a road legal Mach-E GT. And to that, they've added quite a lot of aero, including this ridiculous boomerang of a rear wing here, which you can adjust for angle if you want more or less downforce. You've got this cartoonish diffuser at the back, these mega box wheel arches, and at the front, these ridiculous dive planes and a surfboard of a front splitter. The other thing the engineers can do with this car is flip around the gear ratios. There's 2 different options, because in drift and gymkhana mode, you want maximum acceleration, maximum wheel spin, but the top speed is only about 90-95 miles an hour. In track configuration, you want a higher top speed, so it can go all the way up to 160-165 miles an hour. At that top speed, it's producing over a ton of downforce. I know, it's quite a lot of big numbers to take in. What we need to do now, probably, is take this thing for a drive. Unfortunately, I haven't got the skills to pay the insurance bills, but I know a man that has.
1400 horsepower of electric car. This is absolutely nuts. On the wheel it says fun haver.
Okay, I'm going to call action in a second.
Fun haver. I'm going to have fun. Are we good to go?
Okay, action.
This is hilarious. That's absolutely fantastic. I can barely see where I'm going. That is ridiculous. What an absolutely unhinged, hilarious device. All I can smell is electrons and brakes. It's mad. Absolutely mad.